Gender-based violence is a global phenomenon and a human rights issue. It is any act of violence based on gender which results in physical, sexual, and psychological harm. Anyone can be a victim, but statistics show that women and girls are affected disproportionately as compared to their male counterparts. In Kenya, 45% of women and girls between the ages of 15 to 49 have been subjected to physical violence, and 14% have experienced sexual violence. Pauline Juma, a 25-year-old survivor of gender-based violence, takes us through her journey of resilience and how it led to the conception of Rebirth of a Queen, a safe house that shelters teenage survivors of violence.
I grew up hating gender-based violence from the age of 13. And at the age of 16, I was set up with my best friend, and I was gang raped at 16. With my best friend, a friend that I helped, a friend that I stood with, a friend that I was always there for her. And she set me up, and one of the perpetrators was the brother. And I remember the brother telling me, if you dare speak, you're going to kill your mom. You see those words, sometimes they're always in my mind, and I'm like, Pauline, you spoke. Have you called your mom today just to check if she's okay? And it affected me so badly from when I was 16. I didn't have anyone to tell. I didn't have anything to do about it. And being born with a resilient mother, sometimes you have no option. You see, I've never been given an option of giving up in life. You couldn't do that with my mom. You couldn't. So I grew resilient, but resilient in pain. My self-esteem was going down, and I did not believe in myself anymore. And at the age of 19, I went to get married, not because I was pushed by anyone, but I pushed myself because I was like, let me first go and test if I can give birth. Maybe this man destroyed me. Maybe I would never give birth. Maybe a man would never love me. And the first one who showed love and affection, that is what I fell for. And 1 year later, he started beating me up. You see, one day I went back home with blood in my clothes because he was trying to make me abort my baby, my 6 months old baby, 6 months pregnancy. And when I went back home, my mom asked me, what is that on your dress? And I dared look at my mom and told her, nilianguka kwa stairs. And my mom knows very well where I live, there's no stairs. And my mom just told me one word. You see, the day you'll get tired of falling from stairs, the imaginary stairs, you'll come back home because I'm still your mother. And 1 year later, I went back to mom. But there's something this man told me, and for 2 years I was taking revenge. One day, after just separating with him on a border stage, you imagine you're 20, you have a son, and then this man on a border stage is like, Pauline, you're a dead flower. You'll never get a man who'll marry you. And I'm like, wait, did I hear right? So the best thing I did as a 20-year-old girl was actually to get married to another man. 6 months later, I didn't even heal. So my mom asked me, you have a son. You've gone through so much, Pauline. You don't even know yourself at this place. My mom just told me you're a mess. And I told my mom I just want to prove to this man that there's still a man who can love me. So I was in another relationship, not for the love, but to prove a point to someone else. And there I got a son. 1 year later, things are like, no. And so the first day this man slapped me was the last day we were together. Because I was like, I think I made a promise to myself, and I made a promise to my son the day I was separating from the dad that no one would ever lay a hand on me. And that was it all. And I think that was the beginning of me coming out of this shelf I was hiding. And I just told myself I want to make a difference with my life. I just want to be a better person. I don't know how. Rebirth of a Queen is a personal journey as a survivor of sexual and domestic violence. Rebirth of a Queen to me is a girl being born every single day. And in 2018, around July, I was writing a poem about my healing, about my journey. I was going through so much at that time. And I remember after just writing the poem and affirming to myself that I'm going to come out stronger, just at the end of the poem, I wrote, and this is the Rebirth of a Queen journey. So that name stood out for me, and it's closer to my heart and for healing. Within the shelter, we, apart from providing the basic needs for the girls and education, we also have art therapy programs. That is once in a while where we draw what we feel to heal. You just draw anything that you feel like, you use any color that makes you powerful. In another program, we have mentorship once in a while. We have friends coming in to support with mentorship, and also the girls themselves. Sometimes they create programs for themselves as a way of empowering themselves.
COVID-19 has led to an upsurge in gender-based violence instances. Measures instituted to curb the spread of the pandemic have consequently demarcated survivors within the confines of their violators. A lack of specific government policies to address the needs of gender-based violence survivors has further aggravated the issue.
To be honest, they are overwhelming since COVID-19 started, and sometimes I'm grateful when the 7 p.m. curfew was removed, because the 7 p.m. curfew was creating a perfect environment for a perpetrator. We used to receive a lot of cases from around 7:30, and you know it's past curfew. There's nothing you're going to do about it at that moment, because when you're found out, that is a case with the police, and they actually don't care. So a lot of cases we used to receive during that period, and you could find the next day when you're following up with a victim, you'll never find them. Number one, maybe that number is no longer working. You're trying to trace them, and they're not willing anymore to get help, because they're like, there's nothing I can do. Because that period when a victim is desperate and they need help and they don't get it, they become more comfortable with their perpetrators, knowing that this is someone who can protect me actually, as much as he's beating me up, as much as this has happened, but this is someone who can protect me. And something that we can do to protect girls, to protect victims, to protect survivors, is actually create a perfect environment for them to speak out. You create a perfect environment for them to feel powerful about themselves and to heal. And I wish we can raise more awareness on gender-based violence and violence affecting both genders, both boys and girls, or both man and woman.
Social acceptance and normalization of violence shape the values and attitudes of the society accordingly. Promotion of violence as normal functional behavior cultivates a culture of silence, which in turn empowers perpetrators.
The reason why I stopped actually blaming victims for not coming out, it's the response that we get. Imagine a 10-year-old girl going to the mom and tell the mom, my uncle defiled me, and the mom is like, no, don't tell anyone, no, that is a family case. They'll never speak out again, and that we are actually promoting the culture of this perpetrator doing the same thing to this person. Most of the people don't come out and tell the issues they're going through because they know the judgment. We as human beings fear judgment. We fear being judged. We fear being victimized. And that is one thing that is actually affecting especially survivors of gender-based violence. Because we've victimized people, we've victimized survivor to a point we are empowering perpetrators. Because the moment you say a girl was raped because of her short skirt, you're actually telling the perpetrator, please rape every girl with a short skirt. When you tell a girl was raped because she was coming out of work late, you're telling a perpetrator, make sure by 10 p.m. you're on the road raping more girls. So I wish we could stop the victimization and just call a rapist a rapist. Don't call a rapist, she was trying to put discipline on this girl because she was out late. And in sexual violence or in rape, I have a sentence. I only use one sentence. The moment we'll stop victimizing victims and survivors, we'll stop empowering perpetrators. But the more we are victimizing survivors, telling them it happened because of your short skirt, it happened because of you being out late. Now we have boys being sodomized, wearing trousers and wearing their jumpers, covering every part of their body, and they still attract more perpetrators. So if we just stop empowering perpetrators, we'll be in a better place.
Myths and narratives constructed around gender-based violence have immensely contributed to the piling of violence instances. Demystifying and confronting this belief system is critical in reinforcing efforts aimed at combating violence.
An example of one of the cases I have. A girl was defiled because the father was told that if she sleeps with her daughter, he's going to get a lot of wealth. the myths we've created around gender-based violence, the myths we've created, and the excuses we've created to defile more girls. I wish we can come together as a family, as the whole community, just to bring solution to gender-based violence. We are not different from other people, but sometimes I feel we need more affirmation. We need more open opportunities and a perfect environment for survivors to grow. Because I personally have battled with anxieties. For me to wake up and tell myself, okay, today I'm going to that office, and in that office there is a man. It takes strength. So I would actually empower more survivors, and especially more women survivors, to create that perfect environment for other people, and even for other girls and boys, because anyone can be a victim at any time. I am rebirth of a queen. Rebirth of a queen is me, and for the next 2 years, I'll start with that. I dream of us having a permanent shelter somewhere just around this Maasai land. There's something about this Maasai land, and having a shelter and a school and an empowerment center, just a holistic, transformative environment for the survivor coming in. My dream is for any survivor who comes out of rebirth of a queen, let them go beyond Kenya. Let them be international. I don't dream of a girl going back to their society, back to their perpetrator, because in one way or the other we were not able to help her. Right. And in 10 years from now, the rebirth of a queen will be operating in 47 counties of this country, having sustainable shelters.
Gender-based violence leaves tremendous physical and psychological effects on its survivors. It undermines their health, dignity, security, and liberty. It leaves far-reaching implications that go beyond the individual level. Implications transcend to family units, eats away at the fabric of the society, threatens the economic well-being and security of a nation. You have a responsibility to use your voice to bring awareness and castigate acts that may promote and contribute towards violence. Don't remain silent. Thank you so much, dear viewer, for tuning in the 4th edition of the Youth Converse. Like, share, and don't forget to subscribe.